I want to ask you about this avalanche of information that's coming out about Harvey Weinstein, because the question is, I mean, you're in the industry. How do you think Hollywood moves on from this point? How do you think it can seize this moment and turn it into something positive?
I think it's important that we acknowledge that this isn't just Hollywood. This is so much more global, and it's not just, oh, guess what? This is what's happening to women suddenly. This has been happening since the beginning of time, but now people are finally talking about it. And I think that that's what's important, is that where I never had experiences like this with Harvey myself. I only had positive ones with him, but that goes to show where, you know, you don't always see what's going on behind closed doors. So I think that when people come forward, that your bosses, you have to acknowledge it. You know, there have been moments where I've come forward, where other people have come forward with things that just feel little and you're not sure. But when your bosses tell you that this is not a priority to them, then you think, okay, well then this must not be that big of a deal. Maybe what I'm complaining about isn't really that big of a deal. And it is.
And you're right, that's every single word.
But wait, there's more. Blake sparked even more controversy when she chose to collaborate with Woody Allen. In 2016, she starred in his film Café Society, one of his last projects before Hollywood finally distanced itself from him due to long-standing allegations. And let's be real, Blake wasn't unaware of his history. By that time, the accusations had been public knowledge for years. She knew about the disturbing claims regarding his alleged mistreatment of his stepdaughter, yet she still decided to work with him. What really made people question her, though, wasn't just her decision to take the role, it was the way she openly defended him. Instead of acknowledging the controversy, she doubled down, insisting that working with Woody was a positive experience. It was a bold and questionable move, leaving many wondering where she truly stood on the issue. To make matters even messier, Ronan Farrow, Woody Allen's own son, called out Hollywood in a powerful article for The Hollywood Reporter titled "My Father, Woody Allen, and the Danger of Unasked Questions." In it, he criticized the industry for continuing to support his father despite the serious allegations. Naturally, since Blake had worked with Woody, people wanted to hear her thoughts on the piece. Instead of addressing Ronan's concerns, Blake sidestepped the issue entirely. Her response felt more like a carefully crafted PR statement than an actual opinion. "I came home and went to bed at whatever time we finished. I haven't been in it, so I don't want to speak on something I haven't read. I think that's dangerous. It's definitely something that, being at the festival, the media these days, you come to a film festival about film, and people talk about all different types of things, you know? That can be definitely tricky to navigate." If that wasn't bad enough, in another interview, she outright defended Woody Allen, saying, "It's amazing what Woody has written for women. It's very dangerous to factor in things you don't know anything about. I can only know my experience, and my experience with Woody is that he's empowering to women." So yeah, the controversy surrounding Blake and Ryan goes far beyond Justin Baldoni's allegations and lawsuits. Fans have been digging into their past, and the more they uncover, the worse it looks. As I said before, Hollywood is a cutthroat industry, and it's no surprise that Hugh Jackman may have chosen to distance himself from this drama. After all, who would want to be dragged into this kind of controversy? But what do you think? Did Hugh do the right thing by stepping back, or should he have stood by Ryan and shown more loyalty? And was Disney justified in firing Ryan, or did they take things too far? Let me know your thoughts.
Hugh Jackman, Wolverine, will be deposed, and I suspect that might be making Ryan Reynolds extremely nervous, and I'll tell you why. They want the judge to agree to an attorney's eyes only designation to protect, as they term it, highly confidential information that could destroy the careers of the third-party people that are involved.
Ryan Reynolds fired from Marvel say it ain't so. Yup. The man behind the Merc with a mouth is reportedly out after a major behind-the-scenes controversy first. There's the $400 million lawsuit involving his wife Blake Lively and director Justin Baldoni, and then a joke in Deadpool 3 that apparently crossed the line. Marvel allegedly cut the joke, Reynolds fought back, and Disney, well, they weren't having it now. Rumors say Disney is phasing him out, reducing his creative control, toning down Deadpool's edgy humor, and even considering a multiverse Deadpool replacement. Some insiders claim Marvel could introduce a new Deadpool from another timeline, one that fits Disney's family-friendly brand.
It looks like Ryan Reynolds just learned the hard way what happens when you mess around and find out. His involvement in the ongoing drama between his wife, Blake Lively, and director Justin Baldoni may have cost him his lucrative Marvel deal. Word on the street is that Ryan has been fired from his role as Deadpool, with the decision reportedly coming straight from Disney's higher-ups. This entire situation is taking a serious toll on him. While fans blame Blake for ruining his career, Ryan appears to be directing his frustration at the wrong person: his best friend, or rather, his soon-to-be ex-best friend, Hugh Jackman. Sources claim Ryan is furious with Hugh for not standing up for him when he got fired. He allegedly expected Hugh to have his back and help him get reinstated, but Hugh seems to have made the smart move by staying out of the drama and focusing on his own career. Ryan now sees this as a betrayal, and their long-time friendship may be coming to an end. But why did Ryan expect Hugh to defend him in the first place? And does Hugh know something we don't? The craziest part of this situation is that Ryan wasn't even directly involved in the drama that led to his firing. It was between Blake and Baldoni. However, as a supportive husband, Ryan stepped in to defend his wife, and now he's paying the price. While no one is saying he shouldn't have stood by Blake, given how guilty she appears in this situation, there were certainly better ways he could have handled it. Ways that wouldn't have led to such a public scandal. So why did Disney get involved and fire Ryan over this? It all comes down to something called a morality clause. All artists who sign contracts with Disney, including its subsidiaries like Marvel, must agree to a morality clause. This clause allows the company to terminate an agreement if the individual engages in any scandalous or offensive behavior that could put Disney in a negative light. These clauses are often intentionally vague, using terms like public disrepute, humiliation, contempt, or scandal, giving Disney broad power to fire someone if their actions cause too much controversy. In Ryan's case, Disney seemingly decided his involvement in this drama was enough of a liability to cut him loose. The company is notorious for having one of the strictest morality clauses in Hollywood, and they don't hesitate to enforce it. Recent reports suggest Disney has updated its morality clause with even broader language, allowing them to fire anyone for any act or omission that could cause public disrepute or offend the community or any substantial group thereof. Since these terms are intentionally vague, Disney has the power to interpret them however it sees fit, something we've seen happen before. Remember ABC News anchors Amy Robarch and TJ Holmes? Their affair made headlines, and despite both being consenting adults, they were fired from ABC, a Disney subsidiary, less than a week after the scandal broke. Then there's Halle Bailey. While she wasn't fired, reports claim Disney deliberately refused to push her for major awards, including a possible Oscar nomination for Part of Your World, after she became pregnant out of wedlock. Allegedly, her unwed mother status didn't align with Disney's family-friendly image, so they distanced themselves from her. Given all this, it's not surprising that Disney would drop Ryan Reynolds over the never-ending drama involving him, Blake Lively, and Justin Baldoni. The controversy had dragged on for too long, and it seems the XX had enough, especially since it was starting to reflect poorly on the company. But that's not the only reason Ryan may have been fired. Reports suggest Justin Baldoni took things further by filing a legal motion accusing Disney of helping Ryan bully him. Apparently, Baldoni believes the Deadpool vs. Wolverine post-credit scene included a direct jab at him. In the scene, Ryan plays a Deadpool variant named Nice Pulul, who says, "Where in God's name is the intimacy coordinator?" He also praises Lady Deadpool for snapping back after having a baby before sarcastically remarking, "Feminism." Baldoni reportedly took this as a personal attack, considering he publicly touted himself as a feminist while directing It Ends With Us. His legal team, led by Brian Friedman, even sent a formal complaint to Marvel boss Kevin Feige and Disney CEO Bob Iger, accusing Ryan of using Disney's platform to mock him. With all this drama piling up, it's no surprise Disney decided to cut ties. Friedman's letter demands that Disney and Marvel preserve all documents related to any deliberate attempts to mock, harass, ridicule, intimidate, or bully Baldoni through the character of Nice Pulul. It also hints at potential legal claims, including interference with contracts and civil extortion. While it's uncertain if Baldoni's motion will hold up in court, Disney reportedly did not take kindly to being dragged into the controversy, and they may have taken it out on Ryan Reynolds. Reports suggest Ryan had already faced issues with the network due to his exceptionally high pay, which ran into the millions. Allegedly, he was paid around $30 million for Deadpool vs. Wolverine. While the film grossed over $1 billion at the box office, his hefty paycheck was reportedly a sore point for producers. He was also rumored to have earned about $20 million for Deadpool 1 and nearly double that for Deadpool 2. Factoring in his percentage of the profits, his total earnings were even higher, something that allegedly frustrated higher-ups. On top of that, Ryan was accused of violating his morality clause by involving himself in this controversy, which reportedly contributed to speculation that he was let go. Rumors of his firing first surfaced when an insider tweeted, "Heard Ryan Reynolds got fired by Marvel for using Deadpool and Wolverine to mock and bully another director. Hope that's true. Finally, no more Green Lantern jokes that stopped being funny 10 years ago." Many were skeptical that Marvel would actually fire Ryan, given his popularity and the success of Deadpool. However, Disney is known for taking legal matters seriously and won't hesitate to remove anyone who jeopardizes the company's image. You'd expect Ryan to be furious at Blake, right? After all, he's always been a supportive husband, standing by her through thick and thin. That's what he promised in their vows. But instead of directing his frustration at her, he's upset with Hugh Jackman. Why? Because Hugh not only refused to defend him when Justin Baldoni was dragging his name through the mud, but he also remained silent when Disney reportedly cut ties with Ryan. It seems Ryan expected Hugh to have his back and protest his firing, but instead, Hugh has been completely silent. Even worse, sources claim Ryan feels Hugh has intentionally distanced himself since the controversy began, leaving him feeling betrayed. Setting aside the drama, it's understandable why Ryan would feel hurt. He and Hugh have been inseparable for years, practically like brothers. But this is Hollywood, where self-preservation often comes before friendships, and people will throw anyone under the bus to protect their own careers. Unfortunately for Ryan, he had to learn that lesson the hard way. To make matters worse, the backlash isn't just about the "it ends with us" drama anymore. Fans have started digging into Ryan's past, and things aren't looking good for him or Blake. One major issue resurfacing: their decision to get married at Boone.
All of this brouhaha around Blake Lively right now made me want to revisit the plantation wedding controversy because I don't think it's been explained well in the media. So Blake and Ryan got married at the Boone Hall plantation in South Carolina in the United States. This plantation appeared in the film The Notebook as the main character Allie's family's summer home. Now, plantations in the USA and other former British colonies in the Americas have a dark history. To make a long story short, in the early 17th century, English settlers were offered large plots of land as a reward for exploring these uncharted territories, which were the Americas. These plots of land were cultivated to produce agriculture and eventually became plantations. To maintain the plantations, settlers bought people from West Africa and trafficked them to the Americas, where they were enslaved and used as free manpower to enrich the settlers. After the Civil War in America, the plantation system essentially collapsed, partially because of the end of all that free labor. Now, in the modern era, some of the plantation homes that remain were transformed into historic sites for people to visit and learn about. This one, which was Thomas Jefferson's home. Dr. Etta Fields Black, professor of history at Carnegie Mellon University, states that a plantation must interpret the entire history of all of the people who lived on the property. In other words, don't just show this without any discussion of this. Talk about the full history. However, she also said that this shouldn't deter anybody from appreciating the antebellum architecture of plantation homes or the gardens surrounding them, because it may provide a chance to spotlight the beautiful work of the enslaved crafters that has been largely erased from architectural history. So yes, go ahead, look and learn about plantations. But should you get married at one? Some want the antebellum aesthetic without having to think about what might have gone into building that aesthetic.
To be fair, Ryan did apologize years ago for their poorly thought-out decision to get married at a plantation. He admitted it was a huge mistake and revealed that he and Blake had another wedding to make up for it. Reflecting on the controversy, he said, "It's impossible to reconcile. What we saw at the time was a wedding venue on Pinterest. What we saw after was a place built upon devastating tragedy. Years ago, we got married again at home. But shame works in weird ways. A giant mistake like that can either cause you to shut down or it can reframe things and move you into action. It doesn't mean you won't mess up again, but repatterning and challenging lifelong social conditioning is a job that doesn't end." However, the scrutiny on Blake doesn't end there. Her past associations with some of Hollywood's most controversial figures, especially Harvey Weinstein, have also raised eyebrows. She was reportedly close to him before his downfall, and people have been calling out their relationship for years. Back in 2009, the gossip blog Laney Gossip wrote, "Every couple of years or so, Harvey likes to pick a young actress and turn her into a star, or try to, at least. It happened with Gwyneth. Jessica Alba had her chance. Anne Hathaway too. Now it looks like Blake Lively has caught Harvey's eye. A deal with the devil, you could say. Critics pointed out her frequent appearances at Weinstein's events, fueling speculation about their connection. When Weinstein was finally exposed for his horrific crimes, many expected Blake to stand with his victims. Instead, she disappointed people by distancing herself from the controversy, stating she had no such experience with him rather than offering public support to those who did.
In 2012, Blake and Ryan did indeed get married at a plantation in South Carolina, which features 9 slave cabins and an area called Slave Street. It was owned by the Boone family, who enslaved around 100 people, forced them to live in these cabins, and made them work on the plantation. It was then taken over by the Horlbeck family, who at the time purchased both the plantation and the enslaved people. The enslaved people were then forced to work for the Horlbecks brick company, and it's recorded that each enslaved person was forced to make 1 brick every 3 minutes for 365 days a year. Boone Hall has 9 slave cabins in total, which have been preserved so that people can come along and be educated about the horrors that Black Americans face.
Plantations are a painful reminder of slavery and the atrocities tied to that history. Yet, Blake and Ryan still chose to have their wedding at one. It's no surprise that fans are now questioning how they ever saw it as a romantic choice.